Okay, let's just jump right in. We've all sat through the history class version of the Maya, right?
Mm-hmm. The standard textbook story.
Yeah, they build these amazing temples in the jungle. They have a calendar everyone freaked out about in 2012. And then, poof,
Hmm.
they're just gone.
The classic disappearing act. It's probably the ultimate historical cold case.
Exactly. And the textbook answer is always something like drought or warfare. Maybe they chopped down too many trees. But looking at the stack of sources for today's deep dive, I have to say, the drought theory feels like it's barely scratching the surface.
It is definitely the safe answer.
It's the polite answer they give you so you don't ask the weird questions.
Exactly. But when you dig into the actual archaeological reports, I mean, the stuff that usually gets buried in the footnotes, you start seeing a very different picture.
Okay, like what?
You've got a civilization that hits this massive population peak. We're talking 40,000 people in just one region in the 9th century. And then they effectively evaporate.
And that's our mission today. We're looking at the evidence that just doesn't fit that neat little story. We're diving into a stack that's got everything from recent LiDAR scans that have totally redrawn the map to some really controversial takes on stone tablets.
And we're even pulling on a thread that connects these ancient jungles to Leonardo da Vinci.
It sounds like a total stretch when you just say it out loud like that. Maya to Da Vinci.
It really does. But looking at this research, the connective tissue is weirdly strong. We're trying to connect ancient artifacts, modern UAP sightings, and yeah, hidden codes in Renaissance art.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yep.
But you promised to keep us grounded, right?
I'll try. My job today is to walk that line between the hard science, like the LiDAR data, you can't argue with that, and the, let's say, more out there theories from some of our sources.
I love the out there stuff. Let's start with the physical evidence. 2016, a big investigation inside the Temple of Kukulkan. That's the big one at Chichen Itza, right?
That's the one, the iconic pyramid. So this was a huge moment, even if it didn't make front page news. We've known for a while that Maya pyramids are built like Russian nesting dolls.
Right, one on top of the other.
Exactly. A king builds one, and then a later king builds a bigger one right over it, just encapsulating the old one.
So it's layers, like an onion.
Perfect analogy. But in 2016, using this advanced electrical scanning, scientists confirmed a third innermost layer, a pyramid inside a pyramid. Inside a pyramid.
The baby pyramid in the middle. Why is that such a big deal?
Because the scan picked up something else. In that deepest, oldest layer, there's a sealed cavity, a hidden chamber.
Ooh.
It's been cut off from everything for who knows how long. It hasn't been opened in over 1,000 years.
And of course, when you find a sealed room in a pyramid, your imagination just goes crazy. What do the sources think is in there?
Well, we haven't drilled into it, so we have to look at clues found nearby to even guess at what they'd hide. And this brings us to one of the most controversial things in our stack, the time capsule theory.
Okay, this is from that stone tablet they found in 2017.
Correct. Found in Mexico, not far from the main sites. And the carving on it is, well, it's weird. It shows clear Maya figures, but they're not farming corn.
No.
They're interacting with entities that just do not look human.
The report calls them unidentified biological entities.
That's the polite academic term for it, yes.
So aliens.
I mean, the carving shows figures with the big heads, the big eyes, and they're in the middle of an exchange. The Maya are handing over, or maybe receiving, these oval-shaped objects.
I'm looking at the picture right now. They look exactly like giant pills or time capsules.
That is the theory kicking around, that these ovals were designed to preserve something, information, DNA, technology, who knows, across huge stretches of time. And this wasn't just a one-off.
Right, they found more.
They found a whole cache. In a cave system nearby, they uncovered about 80 of these tablets.
80. Okay, that's not a random artist. That's an archive.
It's a library. And the imagery gets even weirder. You see patterns that look like magnetic fields, symbols that look like diagrams for flying craft, and they were found with this strange gold foil.
Gold foil? In a jungle cave? That seems way too delicate.
It does. It feels incredibly modern. But the physical evidence that really unsettles people wasn't the foil. It was the skulls.
The elongated skulls. But isn't that just cranial binding? I thought we'd debunk this.
That is the mainstream explanation for sure. We know the Maya practiced head binding to change the shape of a baby's skull. It was a status symbol.
Right. So what's the mystery?
It's about the volume. This is the key. You can change the shape of a skull by binding it. You can't increase the sheer amount of brain it can hold. You can't just add bone mass.
You can squeeze the balloon, but you can't make the balloon bigger.
Exactly. And this source argues these skulls have a cranial volume that's significantly larger than a normal human's. So the question is, were the Maya just carving what they saw? Were they trying to look like these strangers who gave them the capsule?
The whole cargo cult idea.
It's a possibility.
It's a lot. But okay, let's jump from the caves to one of the most famous pieces of evidence. The Pilot King. I feel like everyone's seen this picture, but we have to break it down.
You're talking about King Palenke, his sarcophagus lid found in Palenke back in the 50s, a masterpiece of Maya art.
It's beautiful, but once you hear the ancient astronaut description, you can never ever unsee it. So mainstream says he's falling into the underworld.
Yes, the descent into Xibalba. The tree of life is behind him, the underworld monster is below. A spiritual journey.
Okay, that's the poetry. Now give me the engineering version from our source.
If you just look at it mechanically, it looks like a cockpit. King Palenke is positioned at a 45-degree angle, bent forward, knees up. It's the exact posture of a modern astronaut during liftoff.
Or a motorcycle racer. And his hands, he's not just waving.
No, his hands are active. The top hand is manipulating what looks like knobs or dials. The bottom hand is gripping a control stick, a throttle.
Yet his face.
Look at his nose. It's pressed right up against some kind of apparatus. It looks for all the world like a breathing device, an oxygen mask. And the whole chair he's in, it wraps around him. And at the bottom, flames and smoke.
So, monster of the underworld versus rocket exhaust.
It's a big difference in interpretation, but it really challenges this idea of the Maya as some primitive people. And frankly, so does their math.
Okay, the numbers. Because you can argue about art, but math is math. And the Maya were obsessed with time.
Obsessed is an understatement. They track time with a precision that just shouldn't have been possible. So let's take the solar year. We know with atomic clocks, a year is 365.2422 days.
Okay, 365.2422.
The ancient Maya, with no telescopes, no computers, calculated the solar year at 365.242 days.
Wait, 2422 versus 20420.
They were off by 2/10,000ths of a day.
That's terrifying.
It's better than the calendar Europe was using for centuries. How do you do that with your naked eye?
You don't, unless you had help, or tools we haven't found. But then there's the other calendar, the Tzolk'in.
Right. So the Hab is the solar calendar. The Tzolk'in is a 260-day cycle. And for ages, this baffled astronomers. It doesn't match the moon, the sun, anything on Earth. It seems totally random.
But it's not.
It's not. Years later, astronomers realized that this 260-day cycle perfectly matches the rotational period of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
The asteroid belt, which is where a planet should be.
That's the Maya star hypothesis in our source. The theory is that a planet existed there, was destroyed, and created the asteroid belt.
And someone escaped.
The idea is that a group of refugees fled the cataclysm, came to Earth, and just kept the calendar of their old homeworld.
So the Tzolk'in is a wristwatch set to a dead planet's time zone.
That's the implication. And this is where the allotune comes in. This was the detail that made me just stop and stare at the wall.
I've never heard of an allotune. What is it?
It's a Maya unit of time. We count in decades, centuries. One allotune is about 63 million years.
I'm sorry, did you say million?
Million, yes.
Why does a corn farmer need a unit for 63 million years? That's not helpful for planting season.
Exactly. It's the smoking gun. It's absurd for an agrarian society. That's geological time. You only need units that large if you're measuring cosmic ages or space travel, or the time since your homeworld was destroyed.
Jack, 64 million years lines up pretty well with the dinosaur extinction event.
It does. It suggests their whole perspective on reality was just vastly larger than our own.
And speaking of perspective, the sources say their writing system itself hints at something, not human.
This is the 3D writing theory. So think about English. It's 1D, left to right, a line.
Okay.
Chinese is 2D, right, up, down, left, right. But Maya glyphs, the argument is, are effectively 3D. They incorporate depth and distance into the meaning of the symbol itself.
Like a hologram carved in stone.
Kind of. The linguists cited here argue the information density is so high it doesn't seem designed for the human optical system.
What does that even mean?
It's like a QR code that holds an entire library, but you need a special lens to read it.
And maybe we just don't have the lens.
We might be staring at a hard drive and calling it a cool rock.
Okay, so impossible math, impossible calendars, 3D writing. Let's talk scale, though, because we used to think, oh, a few cities in the jungle. The new tech says something very different.
This is the LiDAR, light detection and ranging. It digitally strips away the jungle and lets you see the ground. In 2016, they scanned a huge area of Guatemala and Mexico.
And what did they find?
They found over 60,000 previously unknown structures
60,000.
in one go. The source compares the urban density to the size of 8 Taipei cities. We used to think maybe a few million Maya live there. Now, they're thinking upwards of 10, maybe 15 million people.
That's a megalopolis.
It is, and they weren't isolated. The scans show elevated highways, 6 meters wide, paved, connecting these cities for miles.
So you have 10 million people, superhighways,
Okay.
and then empty cities. Where did 10 million people go?
Well, one theory from our stack is they went down. We know there are massive tunnel systems under many of these pyramids, but there's another anomaly that suggests they might have gone, or come from, the ocean.
The underwater structure. I saw the sonar scan.
Off the coast, yeah. A massive formation. It's about 125 kilometers long.
That's enormous.
It's huge. And the sonar images show perfect straight lines, right angles, triangles. Nature doesn't really do perfect geometry on that scale. This looks designed.
So maybe their civilization just extended into the ocean.
Or maybe that's where the capsule people came from.
Which brings us to the dark side of this. We have to talk about the blood. Sacrifices.
Can't ignore it. It was central to their culture. Historically, we see it as spiritual, appeasing the gods for rain. But one of the fringe theories in our source material takes a more biological turn.
This is the ex-government intel source, right?
Yeah. And I want to be clear, this is the deep end of the pool theory. The claim is that these entities, specifically described as reptilian, required human blood. Not for ritual, but for sustenance.
Okay, hold on. That sounds like a B movie. Lizard people.
It absolutely does. But then you look at their gods, and it's not totally out of left field.
Their main god was Kukulkan.
Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, the supreme deity. And this is where the source makes a really interesting global connection. It wasn't just the Maya.
Who else has snake gods?
Almost everyone. Egypt had Sobek, the crocodile god. Sumeria had the Anunnaki, often shown with reptilian traits. India, you have the Naga, serpent beings from underground. China, the creator goddess Nua, had a serpent body.
It's weird. All these separate cultures all hung up on reptiles, snake dragon people.
It suggests a shared experience, a common origin point in our mythology that we haven't quite figured out yet.
Okay, let's look up. We talked about the Palenke King, but what about the pyramids themselves? The theory here is that they weren't just tombs.
The vehicle theory, or at least a landing pad. I mean, think about the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's missing its capstone.
And our source connects that to the US $1 bill.
Right there on the dollar, you have the pyramid, and then floating above it, the glowing eye in the triangle, hovering.
I've looked at that 1,000 times and never thought of it as a UFO hovering over its dock.
That's the theory. That the capstones were detachable flying vehicles. And this isn't just ancient speculation. The source connects this directly to the 2019 U.S. Navy sightings.
This is the footage the Pentagon confirmed was real.
Confirmed UAP. The video shows pyramid-shaped or triangular objects hovering about 700 feet above a Navy destroyer.
So the U.S. Navy is filming flying pyramids, and they're seeing them everywhere.
It's a global thing. The source lists sightings over the Kremlin in Colombia, the UK, and there was a very strange sighting in Xi'an, China.
What happened there?
Witnesses saw a large pyramid object in the sky, but here's the detail. There was a smaller pyramid rotating around the larger one.
Like a satellite.
Or a scout ship. It suggests controlled mechanical behavior, not a weather balloon.
Why? So ancient flying pyramids in the art, modern flying pyramids on radar. The thread suggests this knowledge didn't just die with the Maya.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most surprising character,
Leonardo da Vinci.
the Renaissance man himself.
How does the painter of the Mona Lisa fit into a story about Maya aliens?
Not physically, it's about a lineage of knowledge. The idea is that Da Vinci was a keeper of this ancient wisdom, that he had access to the same source code, maybe through secret societies.
And the evidence starts with a map.
The map of Imola from 1502. It's a perfect, straight-down satellite view.
But that's 400 years before airplanes.
Exactly. You need an aerial perspective to draw that. How did he know what the city looks like from 5,000 feet up?
So he had access to some kind of record.
That's the argument. But the deeper code, the source claims, is in his paintings. Salvator Mundi, Jesus holding the crystal orb.
The most expensive painting ever sold.
That's the one. Leonardo was obsessed with optics. He knew exactly how light bends through a sphere. It flips the image.
Right, the world goes upside down.
But in the painting, the orb doesn't distort the robes. It's physically wrong.
And Da Vinci doesn't make mistakes like that.
Not by accident. It was on purpose. And inside that orb, there are 3 tiny dots.
Let me guess, they line up with something.
The analysis claims they match the constellation Orion, which also matches the layout of the pyramids at Giza.
He's hiding the pyramids in the hand of Christ. That's something. But here's where it gets really weird. The mirror technique.
This is where you might want to pull this up on your phone. If you take Salvator Mundi and mirror the image, overlap it with itself, strange shapes emerge.
I've seen this. It's creepy.
The source claims the central image forms a face. Not a human face. It looks just like a stereotypical gray alien.
It really does. Large head, slanted eyes. It's uncanny.
And supporters of this say the mirror geometry also reveals the structure of a double helix, a DNA strand.
DNA wasn't discovered until 1953.
Exactly. So the claim is Da Vinci hid the blueprint of life and the face of a non-human inside a painting of the Savior 400 years early.
Okay, my brain is officially broken. We've gone from Maya time capsules to pilot kings to cities of 10 million to lizard gods, flying pyramids, and now alien DNA in Da Vinci's art.
It is a massive web. And look, is it possible this is all just a coincidence? Humans seeing patterns, sure.
Pareidolia, seeing a face in the clouds.
Right. But the hard data, the LiDAR scans, the calendar math that beats our atomic clocks, the confirmed Navy footage, that stuff anchors the wilder theories in something real. It makes you pause before you dismiss it all.
It makes you ask, what if the history we learned is just wrong?
That's the question. If even a fraction of this is true, it suggests human history isn't a straight line. We might just be part of a much older, more complex cosmic neighborhood.
And we're the ones with amnesia.
Precisely. And I'll leave you with this thought. Remember the alloton.
The 63 million year unit of time.
Yeah. If a civilization felt the need to track time in 63 million year chunks, you have to ask why. Are we just a tiny blip in a schedule that's still running? Are they counting down to something? Or counting up from when something arrived?
That is a deeply unsettling note to end on, but that's why we do this. I highly recommend you Google the Palenk pilot and decide for yourself. Is he falling or is he flying?
Keep questioning it.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.